Well, greetings, my friends. It's good to see you. Welcome to today's episode. It's a beautiful day out for filming. You guys are beautiful. Thank you for joining me. I have a couple of things I want to talk about, and the first one is kind of close to my heart. Since I did the DJI Mini 2 review video a couple months back, a lot of you asked down below, Aaron, you need to do some kind of night flying pronto, because I asked you what you wanted to see next, and a lot of you wanted to see how the DJI Mini 2 handles night flights. So I thought, hey, hold your horses there, buddy. I need to do some research first, make sure I'm doing it right. So a lot of you may already know, but I'm speaking to rookies, people who are just new to this, or some of you who are more seasoned but have never done a night flight before. First thing you need to know is make sure you know your safety regulations where you live. And where I am, FAA requires you to do, illumination at night, that you need to meet the requirements of visibility and such to be able to fly safe and that other craft can see you as well. The other thing too, what I found is, the gear. So obviously to be illuminated at night, you need the proper gear. So this is where we come in, or today's video is what I chose eventually for my Mini 2. So I'm not sure if you can see this. This is the Tomat, or I like to call it the Tomato, it's missing a vowel, the Tomat Nighttime Anti-Collision Light. So if you look at this Tomat light and the general specs behind it, you'll find that it's pretty similar to most of the other anti-collision lights that you might find on Amazon, for example. This has 4 different colors: red, green, yellow, white, 3 different modes, just like the others as well. Continuous, if you want it on like a flashlight. It's not a headlight, it kind of sort of illuminates around you, but it's not bright enough, or as the kind of beam pattern that you want to use as a flashlight. It kind of works, but only if you're really close. The other mode is the slow SOS pulse, which is pretty default, and also the slightly faster strobe mode. Now, flight time. This thing is pretty impressive, guys. 4.5 hours on the box, but I've gotten it to fly around 4.6, 4.7 hours, which is pretty impressive. USB-C charging is on board. 2 different ways of mounting this. One is with hook and tie or Velcro. Most people stick it on the top here. Make sure you don't stick it on or block any of the sensors or venting ports, or of course mount it too close to the propellers. But my favorite mounting type is through the rubber band. There are 4 different hooks on all 4 sides, or 2 on each side, where you can hook really small rubber bands to this, and they're really secure. In case you're wondering, yeah, is this even good? Is this legit? Well, it is very strong, and just in case, I tested this too. I've taken one of the rubber bands out and flown this, and it stayed on really well. And I wanted to simulate what if one of these snapped in mid-flight, what would happen, and it stayed put. But of course, if you're doing a pre-flight check, always make sure that the rubber bands are nice and solid. There's no nicks or anything. If so, just replace it with one of those small kinds. They're kind of that small, and they're easy to find in a whole pack of 200 or whatever. It's only a couple bucks. So this is my preferred way of mounting. But the reason why I chose the Tomat over all the other models though is the weight. Now, as you know, that the DJI Mini is kind of sensitive to whatever weight or accessories you add on to this. This is, if you want to try to meet the under 250 gram threshold before you have to pay for the FAA regulation fee, which I say just go for it. It's only $3. But if you want to maintain the weight and just be, not be imbalanced in the whole flight envelope and such, these lights will fit the bill. So if you if you do the math, 238, you add one of these, you're well under the required, under the 250 gram threshold, which is nice. But these things I chose, they're small and bright though, but I chose to buy 2 of them. So it's like $50 altogether. And the reason why I chose 2, I wanted to orientate my craft properly, like at night when I'm flying. So one at the front and another one I mounted at the back, like another color, green and red at the front. So I know where the front and the back is at any given time. A lot of you mount this at the top, and I find this kind of a challenge because if I'm flying this really high up in the sky, I can't see the light from the top. And there's not much area right here at the bottom, or a safe place to mount it at the bottom. So I said, hey, I want to mount one at the front on the arm and one at the back. So that's a really convenient spot. But of course, when I bought 2, it kind of went above the 200, I think it was 250, 251 grams. So I just paid for the $3, no big deal. But I wanted to be safe, so that's the route I chose. So now you know a little bit more about these Tomats. And I set out to test these in a couple of scenarios. Hold on, did I just say test these or test these? That's what I get for being Asian. But I meant test these, not testes. So I tested these in the evening first. Baby steps. I didn't want to just jump into a completely dark kind of flight. And And I'll tell you what, guys, I'm tempted to use these all the time now at any kind of low light situation, dusk, dawn, or any kind of gloomy, dark, cloudy day. These are perfect. They increase visibility like up to tenfold even in low light. And when you come to a completely dark flight, as you can tell from the footage though, the filming experiment part was a wash. My camera couldn't pick up anything, at least my G85 couldn't pick up anything, or even the camera on the drone itself could not pick up the lights here, because I live in the suburbs and the city itself doesn't have a lot of lights. So there's not much light pollution to pick up from on, but I'll tell you what, from the pilot's perspective, this thing is pretty darn impressive. For the size itself, the performance is awesome. So I'm gonna link it down below. If you have a DJI Mini 2 or a similar drone or whatever, definitely check this out, because for the size, the performance ratio, size and performance ratio, and the price as well, this thing is pretty much spot on, and it's exactly what I was looking for. Now, I want to talk about a couple of pros and cons of the cons. USB-C charging port is at the back on the mounting surface. I wish it was on the side somewhere where I can have this still on the craft without taking it off. I can charge it in situ. The other problem that I have is the pricing. This feels more like a $15 item, don't you think, with the cheap plastics, the basic circuitry? And I saw this a lot in the reviews. A lot of people say for $24, you should be getting 2 at this point. And to be fair too, I don't mind paying $28, $30 for a second unit if it came in a set. But for $24, it feels like a minor ripoff. But on to the positive. This thing is pretty darn impressive in terms of a good balance of specs. It's lightweight, low profile enough, it's decent aerodynamics for what it is, and has a rechargeable battery. And this is one of the big sells besides the 6 grams of weight. The rechargeable battery really opens up, you know, if you want to take these off the grid and use your battery pack to charge your plane, charge your remote, charge these, they're all interchangeable. I found some other lights that mount under the rotors and they're really nice. I like that they're integrated and all, but they run on button batteries, which in the long run is way more expensive. So there's that. In terms of brightness though, this thing is rated at 3 kilometers or 1.8 miles. I think it's a push if you have really good vision, yeah, or if you have a binocular or something. But 1.5 miles is really pretty visible still. I have bad eyesight predominantly, but at 1.5 miles, it's still nice and visible. So definitely check this out. I'm going to link it down below. You know, if you're a DJI Mini 2 owner, definitely look at this one. I really settled on this one at the end of the day for that good balance of performance, battery, and price as well, even though, yeah, it's a little bit expensive. You know, after testing out this Tomat, my brain is constantly thinking, you know, and I was wondering if anybody has ever invented a paired lighting system. You know, what I mean by this is if you tend to mount multiple lights on your craft, for example, and you want them to blink at the same frequency, it'd be nice if your lights were paired up in somehow. I don't know what kind of protocol, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, whatever, something that makes them blink at the same interval, because it really increases the overall brightness. Because one light, for example, if it's running 25 lumens, if you have the second light on your craft blinking at the same interval at the same time, it increases brightness altogether. But as it is, when I mount both of my lights here and I press on at the same time, they might start blinking at the same time, but after a while they become out of sync. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like you're at a turn light, for example, and you see some cars having the same blinkers at the same time, but after a while they start losing sync. It just drives me crazy. And on these ones, they kind of do the same thing too. So yeah, tell me down below what you think about this idea. Maybe a Kickstarter program or something, a paired lighting system. Yes, and I'm gonna claim copyright on that one. If someone invents this, I need some royalties on that idea. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, my friends, and you're gonna like this one, is the Sony WF-1000XM4. And this device currently right now is breaking the internet, because like news outlets and review outlets out there are just going gaga over this thing, and they're saying this is the new king that supersedes the XM3, which already had amazing sound and class-leading active noise cancellation. Well, is that true? We'll find out on Friday, because that's when I'm going to push and drop my new full review on these XM4s. But in the meantime, the reason why I want to talk to you about this is to give you my early impressions. And so far, it's really impressive. So in my news a couple of weeks ago, when I talked about the news briefing on this and wondered about the specs, and it is confirmed, this has Bluetooth 5.2, thank you, and 8 hours of battery life, and LDAC. Think about this, in a true wireless stereo earbud. I think this might be a first, and that's pretty darn awesome. But how does this perform and compare to the others and even the XM3? We'll find out on Friday, so join me then and we'll check it out. Well, that's all I got, guys. And remember, if you like this video, thumbs up, and if you enjoy what I do, subscribe to it and turn on the bell notification icon. Tell your friends and family about it. And also you can visit my Patreon page down here if you like to support me financially somehow. And remember to do something kind and loving for somebody. You might know someone or even a stranger on the street. Just do something loving and kind for that person, because we have tons of blessings and it's cool to share it forward. So until Friday, when we check out the Sony again, I hope to see you then. God bless and take care of yourself. Adios, guys.